Hey, this Judge Wade's bringing you some Titanfall gameplay. Wanted to use this as a backdrop to actually talk to you about Titanfall 2, or whatever they're going to call the next installment of Titanfall. So it was just confirmed not too long ago that there will actually be a sequel. So I don't know about you, but I'm really looking forward to that. But, you know, we saw Titanfall hit pretty hard, do pretty well, but it fizzled pretty fast. And I want to talk to you guys about what Respawn can do to prevent that from happening with Titanfall 2, because it was a game that I really like to play. I still play it today. I still have fun playing it, but a lot of people quit playing it, and I want to talk about that and, you know, just go over that, get your input on what needs to be done, and kind of share what I'm thinking. But before I get into that, let me say hats off to Respawn for giving away the DLC. This is from the map Swampland, and this is one of the DLC maps. As you know, in honor of their 1-year anniversary, they let everyone have the DLC for free, and it's going to remain that way for free. And I was thinking about that. That's pretty cool. I mean, think about Call of Duty. When have we ever gotten any DLC for free? I mean, not even Modern Warfare 1. They're still charging for that and still charging for everything else. So I just really appreciated that gesture from Respawn doing this, or EA, or whoever's responsible for it. And I thought that was a class act. But let's get into the changes. Let's talk about what Titanfall can do, or Titanfall 2 can do, to really up its game and really prevent it from fizzling out. And I wanted to start off with the campaign side of things. I really think there needs to be some changes. First of all, there really wasn't a campaign. There really wasn't too much of a story when it came to Titanfall. Yes, there was, but I found that playing it with other people, playing multiplayer, really kind of drew back, or really prevented me from engaging in that story. So I'd like to see an actual campaign, an actual story that's much more engrossing, much more draws me in, and I really don't want it to be multiplayer. Yes, I would love for it to be co-op. I'd love to be able to bring a couple of my friends in, one person, maybe 3 other people in there, and actually play through the story, but I really don't want to play against other people, because here's what's happened, or here's what happened with the first Titanfall. All right, you and some other people, you started playing and you were all level 1s, and you got paired up against people that had already been through the first side of the campaign and were now on the second side of the campaign, and those guys knew what they were doing. They had a lot more experience playing the game, and you were at a big disadvantage. So you were getting put up against these guys and really getting beat down by these guys a lot of times. So it wasn't really fun. Not to mention this, all right, if you had already prestiged, if you had already played a lot, you could actually come back into the campaign and replay it. So I was going up against, you know, people that were really high up there, level 30s, level 20s, you know, and here I am, a level 1, paired up with a bunch of other level 1s, going against these people who had already played it. And a lot of people actually went back into the campaign just to look for new people to play against so that they would have an easier time. That, in my opinion, did not make it very fun, especially when you're starting off. And that is the key, you know, that first impression when you're first starting the game, that's critical. We got to do a better job of making sure that's a lot fairer, that you're playing against people of equal skill level. I'm not talking about skill-based matchmaking or anything like that, but let's make it at least, you know, level 1s going against level 1s or something like that. And that's really why I say let's just take out the multiplayer completely for the campaign and just make it a story mode where you and one other person, or you and 3 other people, can just play through this story, have fun, get really caught up in the story, and do that. Now, speaking of the story, all right, I like the 2 ideas of the factions going up against each other. That makes a really interesting story, or it really gives you the potential for a really interesting story. I'd like to see some variance, though, in the 2 different factions. Right now, it's pretty much red and blue, kind of like Halo. One side looks exactly like the other side. I'd like to see some differences in each faction, maybe the look of their Titans, or the weapons of their Titans, or different things along those lines. I'd also, what do you think about this? I'd also love to see a third race, or a third enemy, or a second enemy, I guess, come into play. What if an alien enemy started attacking both factions and came into play? I mean, could you imagine taking your guys, taking your Titans, and going against large gargantuan monsters and little monsters and everything like that? I think that would be a great kind of thing halfway through the campaign to really amp it up and just change it up. And that can only really happen with the story mode, unless they could figure out a way to make that or pull that into multiplayer, which it's possible. I mean, Titanfall or Respawn did a great job balancing pilots and Titans, so there's no doubt in my mind that they could bring in monsters and a different race and balance that all together, but maybe that might be a little bit too stiff or too much for this part. So bringing in, though, into that story mode an alien race or something like that to go up against, I just would really like to see that. I think it would add a lot of variance to the game and a whole new level to the game. So bring that in. And what if they brought in an alien horde mode? All right, early on with Titanfall, I said this game could really benefit from a horde mode, and I wanted to see it with aliens. Of course, bringing aliens into a game that's already out, that wasn't going to happen. They did bring in a horde mode, though, with the different factions, and I kind of want to come back to that, but I'd like to see this horde mode with the aliens included. Maybe you have a base on a planet and the planet's natural wildlife or the planet's natural inhabitants are coming and trying to take you on or trying to drive you from that, and then you have to upgrade your base. Maybe you can add some defenses to, add some strategy involved into it besides just you going up against everybody or you and 3 other people. I definitely would have to be a co-op mode with that, but definitely include that strategy defense in it. And I think I'd buy that game if it was a standalone game. That would just be a lot of fun, especially if different planets had different people that you were, different races that you were going up against. I think that would be a lot of fun. But let me come back to the different faction side of things. I said the idea of the different factions had some potential, and I was just thinking, what if in the story side of things you pledged yourself to one of the factions? Maybe there were 4 factions and each faction was just a little bit different. Maybe one has got these types of weapons, or maybe not these types of weapons, but these variants of this type of weapon. Each one's a little bit different. You pledge yourself to one and kind of play out that story mode. Now, the really interesting part comes when we consider multiplayer with the different factions. If you're pledged to a faction, I could see some really interesting clan wars going on against other factions. And maybe, if you did well against that other faction, you gained a new technology or something like that. Let's add some clan-based things to this, and I think it's going to really help out with multiplayer. But I want to talk about multiplayer more in the next video, but I'm really interested in what you have to say about multiplayer. What would you like to see? Is there certain things that have to go? If there's certain things that have to stay? For a large part, this game is pretty darn sound. It just needs some fine tweaking, I think. But I'm really excited to see what this next Titanfall is going to be. But that's where I'm going to end it. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know your ideas. Let me know what you think about mine. But guys, as always, take care and God bless.